Hello, everyone. I am Stephanie R. Bridges, and I am coming to you live with my first Q&A. And I would like to thank everyone who submitted a question. I really appreciate you all. Let me pull the questions up here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, here we go. So, first, let me thank everyone for coming on and watching this video now or later. I really appreciate your time. It's a huge contribution to me and my platform and everything that I'm doing, all my business efforts. So, thank you so much. And I hope with the Q&A today, I'm able to add some value to you as well. So we're going to talk about writing, publishing, and then just being in business in general. So I did get some excellent questions. And let's start with the first question. It was from Tracy Johnson. And she's my sister. I was just gonna be like, it was from Tracy Johnson. No, okay. So it's from my sister Tracy Johnson. So she kicked us off, and her question is, what are the different avenues you use to sell your books? Which ones are most profitable? So that is an excellent question. And I will talk about, there's lots of avenues to sell books, but I'm going to talk about my top three that I focus on the most. And I'll start with the one that is probably the least profitable for me as far as money is concerned. So vending, that is one of the things that I do. I have 6 books published and then a journal that goes along with one of the other books. So I do go out and vend. And one of the reasons why vending, well, there's 2 reasons why vending is not that profitable for me. One of the reasons why vending is not that profitable for me is because I'm selling books. So books do not have a high monetary value. And I'm not saying like they don't have a high intrinsic value or for some people they have a huge personal value. Some people, they don't bat an eye, but it's based on the market. So based on the market for books, books is not one of those high selling items. So you have to think when anyone who's vending, they actually have to purchase whatever it is that they're going to sell. So there's nothing, there's no manna from the sky that God is saying, here, sell this now. So we actually have to purchase everything that we sell. So when you take someone who is maybe selling t-shirts, or maybe they're selling jewelry, or maybe they're selling fine art or something like that, they have to make an investment in the the actual product. Then they have to make the investment of their time in order to create. But when you think about the market, people will spend more on a t-shirt than they will a book. People will spend more on jewelry than they will a book. People will definitely spend more on, fine art than they will a book. So it's not, since the markup, it can only be so much. There's not enough markup in a book that vending is actually that profitable. So for me, for instance, and if you're going into selling books, these are the things that you have to think about. So one of the items that I sell is children's books. And so in all my children's books, I did not illustrate the books. So I had to pay the illustrator up front. And then I have to actually purchase the book to be printed, to be shipped. I have to pay shipping. I have to pay taxes. And, I have to pay for the actual book. And then I have to pay, for bags for the books. I have to pay for any marketing. So I have like a banner, and I have some like stands that my books are on. I have some business cards and different things like that. So I have to pay for my marketing. And then I have to pay for bags for the books. And then on top of that, I have to pay vending fees. So usually when I vend, I charge $15 for my books. So you have to think about all those costs. It doesn't have anything to do with my time, my gas, my energy, my effort. So you have to think in terms of all of those costs. And then depending on what that vending fee is, I have to sell 10 books before I can even make up the vending fee. So sometimes it looks like, I'm selling a lot of books and, I'm doing pretty well and, in comparison maybe to some other people who are there, but there's not that big of a margin in a book for me for it to be profitable. Now, the other reason why it's not profitable for me, because I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying that selling books can't be profitable. It definitely can. Vending books can't be profitable. It can. The other reason why it's not profitable for me is that I'm not a seller. I'm not a hustler. That's not in my DNA. My dad is like he's like all hustle, all grind all the time. My sister, she has like that hustle magic. She got that hustle gene. I'm a thinker. I'm a creative. I'm not a doer. So I feel more comfortable, by myself, writing, creating, I'm dreaming. So the hustle, the grind is something that I have to learn. So you can make money selling books by vending, but you have to always have books in stock. That's something that's difficult for me, to have books always in stock. Sometimes somebody will say, there's an event going on and I thought about you. And I'll be like, oh, okay. Because, it's going to take 1 to 2 weeks if I'm lucky for my books to come in. And then I have to, have that money right there on the spot to invest in those books. And then, so I don't always have books in stock. I don't always know about what's going on. So like there was a couple events tomorrow, and I was last minute on both of them, but I tried to get in because I actually have some books for another event coming up. But I reached out to them and I tried to get in, and both of them were like, oh, we already have our vendors set up. So if I was somebody else, I might have a list. And know exactly. And I've been going through like trying to find different events, doing some research, because that is something I will do. But when those events came across my timeline, I was just too late to get in. So that's why vending is not that profitable for me. I do it. I do it because, it's a way to, make a little bit of money. And, it's, Christmas time. So you're thinking, okay, I can get out there. And then the other big thing about vending is, and at first I was like, rolling my eyes, making faces. But, it is an opportunity to meet people and to network and to grow your business that way. So you get an opportunity to meet other vendors. You get opportunity to kind of network and work with the host of these events. Sometimes that goes extremely well, sometimes not so well. And you get the opportunity to meet the people who are coming out. So I've made a lot of great connections that way. So I do want to take a moment to mention that, because there's definitely value in vending. And one of the things that I want to do in 2018, I want to do more like travel vending, which increases the expense and and lessens the likelihood that, I'm going to make a profit from it. But it's kind of a way to kind of travel with, and maybe break in. So you kind of doing like in my mind, like a vacation. Like I'm not actually going on vacation, but I'm going somewhere that I want to go, being around some people that I want to network with, and able to kind of offset the cost of what I'm doing. So, my hotel stay, my air, my flight, and everything like that can kind of be offset, business write-offs and different things like that. So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2018, is doing some traveling. But let me talk about the last event that I did vent, and I'm going to tell you about some great connections that I did make. So the last place I was, it was Festivus. So it was 400 West Rich Street, and it was, an eclectic event. I definitely do better when I vend at predominantly African American events, because I have books, children's books that have African American main characters. So, people, there's like a dearth in that area. So people are, excited to see that. But this, wasn't that type of event. But I still did okay. But I did meet some people. So I met one, I don't know if it was a man or a woman now, but they kept telling me to reach out to somebody. They were like, reach out to so-and-so. They're going to be great. They're going to love your books. Reach out to them. So they kept giving me this name. So, finally I was like, okay, let me put this name in my phone. And, of course I didn't have a phone number. I didn't have an email address or anything like that. But I did kind of do some research, and I found somebody associated with the businesses. Now I'm Directions for Youth. Is that it? Department of Youth Services. Okay, so Department of Youth Services. So I looked up someone else's name and saw their email address. So I was like, okay, that person is probably similar. So I emailed the person, and she got right back with me. So this was an excellent connection. So I'm going to meet with this person with the Department of Youth Services at the beginning of the year. So that was great. That was huge. Then a gentleman who purchased one of my books, he's actually at the Graham Elementary and Middle School. So I was able to connect with him. So we're going to start, he actually has an ongoing project that, he wants me to be a part of. And then, hopefully we can build on that connection. And then I met another lady from Art Outside the Lines. So I actually went by there and visited today. And, it's an excellent program. It's art for people with disabilities. So that's, an excellent opportunity for me. I actually connected with a young lady who's a writer, and there's some other writers there. So, I would love to, work with them, on their books and different projects as well. So it is an excellent opportunity to network, to get to meet people, to get your name out there. So in that sense, it definitely does have a value, but, So, okay, so let's pivot, and this is kind of in the area of what I'm talking about now. So early on, I'm quick to cut and run, okay, So, when I see something like, that's not really going to work, that's not really my best interest, I don't know, y'all go ahead. So I started thinking about nonprofits. I'm like, okay, this hand-to-hand, that's not it. So I started thinking about schools, organizations, and nonprofits. So that's my second way of selling and making money. So instead of, selling one book and going to one event, I want to sell 100 books. I want to sell 200 books. I want to sell 10,000 books, to one business, one organization, one school, one nonprofit, or work on a project with them. So this has been something I've been doing, I think for the last 2 years. I actually haven't been working with them, but I've been reaching out. So I've been reaching out to different nonprofits, and I've been telling them, my idea about us kind of, connecting, getting a corporate sponsor to work with us, but you're the nonprofit, So a lot of corporate sponsors and banks and different things like that, you know, they want to be a part of community events. They want to, you know, get their name and their branding out there as far as, you know, being community minded and, you know, positive and, you know, a helpful, you know, a grassroots organization versus just vultures. So, so I, you know, would reach out to these nonprofits and say, you know, just, you know, write me a letter, you know, like a letter of collaboration and, you know, just say, yeah, you're interested in the books. You think the books are a good idea, blah, blah, blah. So not that many, you know, wrote those letters or whatever, but some people actually did. And then the more I go out, the more I meet, you know, different people from different organizations. So on my website, I have a page that says community partners. And I've actually gotten connected with, now I'm start messing stuff up. Clever Communities in Action. This is actually a nonprofit book organization that's all about literacy. And I named a lot of the nonprofits that I work with now. So I put them, you know, all on my page. And then what I'm going to do is, you know, as I, you know, go out and we do different things, you know, get pictures and everything and have those online. And then try to reach out, you know, to the banks from there. So that's starting to work now with Department of Youth Services, Franklin County Children's Services, Child Development Council, you know, different schools, Graham, and then A Plus Arts Academy. And then, you know, I'm working on getting my, I have my Vinnie's license with Columbus City Schools and working on getting my LEAD. So LEAD is Local Economically Disadvantaged Enterprise. So just the LEAD is kind of like for the Columbus City Schools, like having your MBE, like your Minority Business Enterprise. So it's kind of that segmentation. So I'm in the process of getting that and meeting with the head of that organization as well. So that's my bigger push. That's my pivot. I do want to do some travel and some vending, but, you know, as far as my day-to-day business, who I'm interacting with, who I'm meeting with, projects that I'm doing, you know, I want those projects to be contracted projects, or I want, you know, big buys for my books, whether the bank is buying them, whether another corporation is buying them. And then I also have some sponsorship opportunities with my books. So I'm going to, you know, push that out in 2018 as well. So I'm going to reach out to, you know, all these banks, so, you know, talk about they give back. You know, we'll see who steps up to the plate in regards to sponsoring and doing some book giveaways to, you know, young people and just giving out those books. So that's number 2. And then the third way that I make money is, what was the third one? I can't be making too much money, huh? Oh, so the third way is the way I'm not making any money at all. But this is the way that I will make the most money. So this is my number one goal. Not in the sense that it's more important than the other goals, but it's going to be more lucrative for me than the other goals. So my number one goal as far as a writer is concerned is to build, you know, what I'm doing now, my social media platform, my writing and author credentials. So people, you know, citywide, statewide, nationwide, worldwide, know who Stephanie R. Bridges is. So, like, that's one of the things. So my name is Stephanie R. Bridges. Writer, author, entrepreneur. And so the reason why I use the R in there, they say the R, you know, people think you're smarter if you use the R. I think I need some glasses too. I think that would help as well. But I look good in glasses. But the other reason is when I was getting my website or I was doing something, Stephanie Bridges wasn't available. So I used Stephanie R. Bridges. So I don't introduce myself as Stephanie R. Bridges, but when I'm sending an email or something like that, I'll say my name is Stephanie R. Bridges. I have a website, just doing different things like that. Well, and I'll talk more about things that I'm doing. So me being here today is kind of like a value add to the community. And this is just a little bit of, this is off subject, but this is just a little advice to anyone who's in business. So Facebook is more like, friends and family. So it's people who are more local to you or people who may be related to you. And then it kind of grows out from there. So, and it's great. I mean, I think it's an excellent opportunity. I think people, will sometimes recognize me, or, when I go to different events, people, will say, they see me online and they're following me and, encourage me. And I love that. And a lot of people, that I know is like, I see you. I'm like, yeah, I see you. So that's all good. But when you're in business and you're looking for opportunities, you want to show what you've done at home, but your wealth and your growth is going to come from the people who don't know you. They're going to be far more impressed by what you've been able to accomplish and what you're doing than the people who know you directly. So the people who know you directly, they're going to be like, oh, I know her. Yeah, she, and that's nothing to be mad at. That's just human nature. That's just human nature to say, oh, well, I know her. I know where she lives. I know where she does. I know where she came from. I know who, you know what I mean? And so you're not going to get necessarily that same support that you would get from other people who just know you as Stephanie R. Bridges, writer, author, entrepreneur. I like doing that. All right, so that's my goal, is to build my other social media platforms and build as the business owner and, get my books out there, because, Amazon is the #1 bookseller and my books are on Amazon. So getting up there, and actually somebody asked a question about Google SEOs, but getting up there on Amazon and getting higher up on the list, there's definitely there's an algorithm to it. There's a way of doing it. It takes work. It takes time. It takes dedication. But there, are steps you can take to get to the place that you need to be. It also takes money. So you have to make investments for, I have 6 books and 1 journal, and my goal is to have 2 more books published in 2018. So a lot of my time, a lot of my money, a lot of my effort has gone into creating. And so now I need to shift and put my time, my energy, my effort, my monetary investments into building my business. So that's that's my big get, is to, be on the bestsellers list, of Amazon and other lists and different things like that, and, grow that way. So those are the ways, and there's other ways to make money with books, but those are my main focuses, and that is what I do. All right, so my next question is from Noah Star 6 Rucker. And he wants to know, what's the best way to prepare for self-publishing? And then also, are there any apps for writers? And then how do you stay focused on writing? So, okay, so let's talk about that. I think self-publishing is a wonderful, wonderful option. There's traditional publishing, and then there's self-publishing. Now, a lot of times people who, self-publish, they'll use another, kind of publisher to go through this, like a vanity press. It's still kind of like print on demand. I don't necessarily think that's the best route to go, because you end up spending a lot of money, but you don't have as much control as if you would self-publish. So when you self-publish, there's 2 options. There's the I be got no money option. I'm going to do almost everything on my own. And then there's the I got some resources option. And, I'm going to reach out and, pay people, contract people to assist me along the way. I think option number 2 is definitely a better option. But if you in the IB got no money boat, then you can definitely self-publish and do it extremely independently. So I self-published. I was in the IB got no money. And I did have to pay someone. It's kind of funny because I did actually take some classes to try to learn how to draw and do artwork. It was, I'm an artiste, but you know what I'm saying. So I did pay for illustrators for my books. And I did pay for my other books, I did pay for cover art work. But a lot of the formatting, the editing, the revising, a lot of the footwork, getting it onto Amazon and, everything like that, I did myself. So it takes time, energy, effort, but it can definitely be done. So let's talk like brass tacks. Let me find where I was talking about this. Okay, so I would say the one thing that you want to do when you're self-publishing, and I know a lot of people will say, well, you don't have to, blah, blah, blah. I would get everything that you are going to publish. I would get myself copywritten. Now, I have a personal situation where someone actually took something that I wrote and, they got the copyright for it. Just to save yourself, not saying that, I couldn't still publish it, and I never have. It wasn't meant. But I would just, save myself any headaches or anything like that and make sure I get, everything copywritten. It's really inexpensive. Things add up. They are going to start to add up. But, I think it's like $35 or something like that to get something copywritten. And then if there's a series, so if you're doing a series of novels or a series of children's books, or like a CD of 9 songs, you can copyright it all in one. So for the $135 amount, like I copyrighted all 4 of my children's books. So I would say do that first. Get your material copywritten, and it doesn't have to be complete. If you have, a basic title and a basic draft of, what it is that you're writing, even the beginning, the first few chapters or something like that, it can be a rough, of your work. You don't have to wait for it to be 100% done. I would go ahead and get it copywritten. So the gentleman was asking me about apps. So for self-publishing, most people go 2 routes. And this is not the people who do like the kind of vanity press, which I would say steer clear of. But there's 2 routes. So there's Create Space. So Create Space.com. That's the first one, and that's the one that I use is createspace.com. It's completely free. Now there are some options if you need some assistance, if you need some help, where you can kind of upgrade and you can, pay money for it. I've never paid anything for anything. I pay for the actual books when I want a book shipped to me. But, I don't, you don't pay to have the book uploaded. You can do the cover for free. You can get everything on that app up there for free. And it's fairly user friendly. It's not that technical. And this is for print books. So I used a different app for ebooks. I should have wrote that information down. It's hard for me to sometimes remember as far as the ebooks because I do have my children's books in ebook format too. And it's a little bit different how it works. It's especially because I have illustrations. And that's one thing that did kind of get me caught up. So I'm going to have to go back to that. So when I have a book of poetry without illustrations. And it's available through Create Space. But I wanted to have that in the ebook format. And I had a lot of trouble doing that. And it's been years and years ago, but I kind of let it go. But I'm going to go back to that. But I will, the next time I come on, I'll talk about ebooks. So createspace.com is the first one, completely 100% free. They will even provide you with a free ISBN. So every book has an ISBN number. You have to have one. You can purchase one. I think it's from Bowker. It's Bowker, Bawker. It's Bowker. You can purchase one that belongs to you. That is your personal. So through your publishing company, or if your publishing company is yourself, Stephanie R. Bridges, it'll belong to you. So for all my books, I already told you I be got no money. So I went the free route. I just used CreateSpace for the free ISBN. Now, I plan on publishing 2 books in 2018. I am going to purchase ISBNs. So the reason for that is, and they're not that cheap. I think they're like $100 for one, but then like if you buy them in bulk, they're less. They may be more than that. I'm not sure. But they're not that cheap. They're kind of expensive. But the reason why you might want to purchase an ISBN is if you plan on being a publisher. So if you plan on writing one book, like you have this wonderful story, your own personal story, or this one book that you want to write, and you may not want to get an ISBN. But if you plan on being a publisher and publishing multiple books, when your book goes out to buyers, they can tell who the actual publisher is. So for my books, they say the publisher is CreateSpace. Even though they have the name of my publishing company in there, even though I'm self-published, even though I have the copyrights, everything like that, it still says CreateSpace is the publisher. The other thing that sometimes is mentioned is if your book blows up. Let's say, you're a New York Times #1 bestseller. You want to own, you want to have an ISBN for that. You just want to make sure that, whatever happens, you have your ISBN. So because I am a publisher, and I do plan at some point in time maybe to publish other people's work, I'm going to buy some ISBNs. I want to buy some in bulk. I might buy 10. I'm definitely not going to buy 100. They give you those bulk deals, and they really sell them. It's a trip because Canada has like the same company. It's like one company. It's a monopoly, y'all. And they're free in Canada. They're like, yeah, you guys have them free. Good old America. We'll charge them. So I am going to buy some ISBNs. And then the name of my publishing company is In Spirit, Power, and Truth Publishing, LLC. So again, it's In Spirit, Power, and Truth Publishing, LLC. And then the acronym for that is ISPAT. So, and some of my stuff, I was using ISPAT. And then I switched everything back out to Stephanie R. Bridges. So that's another thing to think about, as far as branding. But that is my company, that is my publishing company. And then there's me as the author. So the other self-publishing company that a lot of people go to, and they have their is Ingram Spark. So first, let me tell you why you would go to Ingram Spark, and then I'll tell you why I probably never will. At one point, I thought about publishing on both platforms, and some people do publish on both platforms. So, okay. So when you do everything through CreateSpace, CreateSpace is a part of Amazon. So all your books are automatically available. When you hit the submit button and you approve everything, everything's automatically available on Amazon. Okay, because Amazon is like the umbrella, and CreateSpace is an affiliate of Amazon.com. Ingram Spark, that's who booksellers utilize. So some people self-publish because they want to make sure, their books get into Barnes and Nobles, or, gets into other places. So there's a couple reasons why, like a Barnes and Nobles isn't really checking for CreateSpace. Well, for one, Amazon is like their big competition. So they're like, whatever. And then with Create Space, it's a little, this is what they always tell me. I'm so cynical. I'm trying to get better. But with Create Space, if you go and buy a book, okay, say you went to Barnes and Nobles and you purchased one of my books and then you decided to return it. With Create Space, they can't, Barnes and Nobles can't return the book back to the publisher. They can't return it back to me, and they can't return it back to Create Space. With Ingram Spark, if you were to buy a book from me and then you were wanting to return it, then Barnes and Noble could return it back to Ingram Spark. So they could buy books in bulk, and if those books don't sell, they can return those books back to Ingram Spark. So libraries and brick and mortar bookstores are checking a little bit more for Ingram Spark. So why is that so important for me? The reason why that's not so important for me, and people will say, oh, are your books in bookstores? If I'm out vending and you're talking to me, if you're not going to buy my book while you're standing right in front of me, if you're not going to go to Amazon, and that's the #1 bookseller, and purchase my book, you asking me, is my book in bookstores? You're not going to go to the bookstore and purchase my book. And then on top of that, if you did go to a bookstore and ask them for Stephanie R. Bridges' books, do you have her books? Do you carry her books? If you were to want one of my books, they would order it for you. I guarantee you. So, and that's the same thing with the library. So I might, and this is another thing about Columbus local, I might try to get my books in the library. I did years ago with my first book of poetry, and I might do it again. But what I would probably do is reach out to other cities and send them my books, because it would probably be a lot simpler, a lot easier to actually get them in those libraries. And then I have my own cynical thoughts about Columbus Metropolitan Library. I'm not going to discuss them on this platform, but again, if you were to go to the library, if everybody on this live or whoever sees this video, if you all were to go to Columbus Public Library and say, oh, do you carry Stephanie R. Bridges books? They would get them. So that's the thing about it. So that's the thing that I'm talking about. Amazon is the #1 bookseller. That's where I'm going to make money. I can spend a lot of time, energy, and effort trying to get in Barnes and Noble and trying to get into a bookstore and trying to do this. It's not going to be lucrative for me unless people are asking for me. So unless people know who Stephanie R. Bridges is, unless people are saying, oh, you got Stephanie R. Bridges books? It's not going to be lucrative to me. So I'm going to spend my time, my energy, my effort in things that are actually going to give me the outcomes that I'm looking for. So, so you get what I'm saying. If my name blows up and my brand blows up, it doesn't matter who I publish through. They'll carry my books. They'll be in there. Whether that's local, statewide, nationwide, wherever, they'll carry my books. So me going in and saying, oh, look, my book's in Barnes & Noble, or somebody coming up to my table and me saying, yeah, I'm in the library. Okay. So that's one of the reasons I don't necessarily go with Ingram Spark. Now, for a lot of people, it is important to be in those spaces. And I'm not saying that's a good thing to be in those spaces. So a lot of people will publish on both. A lot of people just go to Ingram Spark. The other reason why I don't personally publish on Ingram Spark is because it costs money. So I do everything myself and I'm in control. So I make a lot of changes on my books. I might have wrote you in the beginning and thanked you for all your help. I might not like you no more, so I might want you out. I'm just kidding, kind of. So I make a lot of changes with my books for whatever reason. It's free on Create Space. If there's an error or you need to make a change on your book on Ingram Spark, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for every change, every, upload. There's a cost. So that gets to be pretty expensive. Now, the other thing that you can do on Ingram Spark, you can actually do hardback books. And that's a thought, especially for kids' books. You can do hardback books. So if you ever wanted to, make sure you had hardback books or something commemorative or something like that, that might be a route to go. And then with Ingram Spark, you would have to purchase your own ISBN to go with Ingram Spark. So definitely do your research and look at both platforms and see what will work best for you. And again, if you can afford to get someone to, do your cover, to assist you along the way, to do your editing, to do your revisions, everything like that. You work with someone in order to get that done as well, to have the most polished presentation that you can. Okay, so I would get an ISBN, but if you don't got it, you won't got it. You can get it for free at CreateSpace. Do the copyright. And start a publishing company. So this isn't, again, that important if you're your own business. So you might be a public speaker, or you might be a financial planner. So maybe that's your business. So you already have your business, and then you just, you have your book. You don't necessarily need to start a publishing company. But if you consider yourself a writer, you're a writer. That's what I lead with. I'm a writer, author, entrepreneur. If you consider yourself a writer, then you will want to start your own publishing company. So that is my business, my LLC. And then, you'll register with the state. I have a city vendor's license. I have my business bank account. And then I'm working on getting my MBE, my minority business enterprise. So just getting different certifications and just making sure, you paying them taxes, because, they be like, oh, she look like Lauryn Hill. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be checking for you. So just making sure all your ducks and everything are in a row. So that is what I have as far as... Okay, so then the second part of that question was the writing aspect of it. How do you stay focused? So 2018, I have 2 goals. I'm going to complete my book of short stories. I've already got that started. And, I just don't have enough short stories. And then I have the goal of writing and completing my first novel. So in my heart of hearts, I think, people see me as a children's book author. And, I love that. I love, the fact that I have a book of poetry available. The compilation book is awesome. But in my heart of hearts, I'm a novelist. So why haven't I published my first novel? Well, the reason is the same thing that he's asking about. How do you keep focused? How do you keep writing? So, I'm not going to talk long on this because I feel like I've been going long. But in writing, there's 2 schools of thought. There is the plotter and the pantser. So, the plotters are the people who plot. They are the people who organize. They are the people who do the outlines, who do the huge characterizations, even like the smallest bit characters. They know the person's name, they know their favorite color, they know what they would order for dinner. These are the people who write the beginning, the middle, and the end of the book. They spend time organizing, plotting, planning their book. So those are plotters. The other group are pantsers. And those are the people that just fly by the seat of their pants. So those are the people who, they heard, oh, if you want to write a book, just start writing. So they were like, okay, I'm just going to start writing. So those are pantsers. There's nothing wrong with being a plotter. There's nothing wrong with being a pantser. I'm definitely a pantser, but I have not completed my first novel. So you know what? I'm going to work on being a plotter. I'm going to work on the working on those skills. So even before even before you start plotting, there's a couple of things that I'm working on. So number one is reading more. So I know you think that like most writers read a lot, and not all writers read a lot. And I mean, I'm okay. So I shouldn't say they don't read a lot. Some writers read a lot because they love to read. They enjoy reading. So that is what they do. You know, they read, they write. It's all encompassing. It's one. Some writers read a lot, and they read a lot because it's more like research. So it's kind of like someone, one of my, I'll say one of my brothers. Well, Preston. Okay, so I know Preston. I couldn't explain my sister. You know. Okay, so Preston is a DJ. So he's like a sound guy. He's a DJ. So if I went into the club, I'd be like, "Oh, that's my jam. That's my and he would be like, "Oh my goodness, listen to that sound. Why is that DJ doing that? What's wrong with that equipment? Can you hear how tinny it is?" So he hears things a lot different. That's how a lot of readers are. So they read things, and the only thing they can think about is, why did you write like this? Like you don't read much that you thoroughly enjoy, or that you're like, oh wow, this is really awesome. Most of it is a disappointment. So a lot of readers, they might read, but they're reading more so for research and for like as part of their work than they are for reading for enjoyment. So, and that's anybody in any industry who's a professional. You know, you see things, you hear things that the layperson doesn't see or hear. So I don't necessarily read that much, but I am reading because that is part of me staying focused on writing. It might not seem that they directly correlate, but it's research. So I'm trying to find books that are similar to what I would write. So that's a huge thing, is deciding your genre. And I've had some trouble in regards to my genre as far as my book is concerned. So I'm reading different books to kind of figure out where I fit in and where I don't, what lane I want to go down and which one I don't. So reading is hugely important, you know, as far as that planning is concerned. And then setting goals. You can set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, being part of a writing group, having a writing coach. So I have a Patreon page. It's still open. You can get in for like as little as $1 a month. I was providing people assistance with their writing. Like they could send me their work and I would read it and give them, you know, some ideas and work with them on like revisions and editing. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I'm right now still in my like creative mindset. So right now my Patreon is available, so you can see anything that I've written, I'll put this video on there. There a lot of the things I've talked about, there's links to everything in my Patreon, so you can have access to that information. But I did want to provide you two names. So Tyra Selden, she's on Facebook. You can look for her. She has an excellent writing group. She's a writing coach. She can definitely assist. And then Joy Lynn M. Ross. Joy Lynn M. Ross. You can check her out as well. She's also an excellent writing coach, provides workshops, can walk you through A to Z. Now, again, if you in the I Be Got No Money camp, you can still join They're groups. It's free. You can still watch them online, just like you're watching this video. They put up content. You can still watch their content. And I'm not saying, you're going to invest in what you're going to invest in anyway. It's very important to invest in yourself and invest in your business. And I do invest in myself and invest in my business, but it's different areas at different times. So I have not invested in a business coach or a writing coach or anything like that. I plan to do so. But there are riches out there. There's milk and honey out there. So if you see somebody online who's like hugely popular and they're telling you about how much money they make online, the number one way that they make so much money online that they're able to do that is because they provide free content. So when you provide that free content and people get to know you and people get to like you, they're like, oh my goodness, I want to support you. I want to know more. I want to go behind, and get the inside. So definitely, until you have an opportunity to get one of those, awesome writing coaches or, business coaches, do your research. Look for people. Go Google those two names. Go on YouTube, and there's some awesome authors on there who do well selling their books, and they will give you a wealth of information. So I hope that helps in regards to staying focused. Be a plotter, okay? I mean, you can be a pantser. It's fun. But, if you don't get it done, then I'm all right. Okay. Pantsing didn't work for me. All right. So my final question is a little bit about what I talked about just now. And that's from Lisa Reed. And she asked, how do you market your business through search engine optimization? Okay, so she's right on point. She's a successful business owner, but she's talking what I'm talking about. She's talking about, okay, I have this local business and, it's growing and different things like that, but I need my online presence to be a little more dominant. And how do you do that with SEO optimization? So that's a goal of mine in 2018. And like I was talking about, it's all analytics and algorithms. I mean, there's a calculation. There's a way to do everything. It's just, are you dedicated? Are you focused? Are you willing to put in the work? Because it takes time, it takes energy, and it takes effort. But I'm going to give you 3 different things, and then a couple of cheats. So number 1, content is king. I get tired of hearing that sometimes, but it is so true. Content is king. It's also important to have a website. So I actually had a website very early on, but I wouldn't send anybody there. It was like, ooh. And then I had another website and it was like, and now my website is a lot better. So it's Stephanie R. It's StephanieRBridges.com. It's, it's not what it could be, but it's a lot better. So definitely, check it out. Let me know what you think. But, have a website. Okay. So that's the one thing. And I have a website. I created myself. I did it myself. And it is, through Wix. Okay. It's through Wix. So again, if you got money to, pay someone to create a machine for you, a website for you, I would say definitely go that route. I mean, do your research, make sure you know what they're doing. Go to some of the websites that they have created, talk to people, because you hear a lot of horror stories of people building websites or having websites built, and it's not up to par. It doesn't go well. But if you in my boat, the we got no money business boat, then you do it yourself. So mine is through Wix. I have my website. So let's talk about SEO optimization, and that's search engine. So you want to come up when somebody does like a Google search, you want yours to be at the top. So how do you get at the top? How do you get that traffic? All right, so Number one, content is king. So you want to make sure you have a niche and that your niche is providing content. Just like I'm talking about now, you can go and you can find these people and you can read their blogs, you can read their information. They're sharing it for free. So why are they giving away all this greatness for free? Because you want to come up high on that search engine optimization. You always have an ask, you always have a sell, you always have a buy. But in order to get people there, you have to have that content. So here's some cheats on getting content. Okay, so the number one cheat, you figure out what you want people to search for you. So if someone was looking for me, I might want them to look for children's books with African American main characters, or how do you become a successful author, or something like that. So I would do that Google search. I would see who comes up. I would go to their page and I would read their content. I would use their content. I wouldn't you don't copy and paste it. Don't plagiarize their content, but write what they wrote and then write more. So wherever that holes they left, whatever they failed to mention, wherever you might disagree or want to give a different perspective, write more, provide more content. So a lot of people talk about keywords, and keywords are important, but you want to have key content. You want people, when they see that little first line come up and that blurb come up, you want people to read it and be like, oh, okay, this is good, I like this, and click on you. So that's the name of the game. That's what the people who come up high, they went to the page that came up high and they were like, oh, what'd they do? And then they do the exact same thing and make theirs better. Okay, so for instance, her specific business is healthcare. So you want to find out, you would Google something that is similar to you as far as the healthcare industry is concerned. You'll find out what they wrote, and then you would provide that information, and then you would provide more. The other cheat for that is to actually reach out to like businesses, other authors, other community organizations, for myself. So like I said, I have those community organizations on my page, and I have live links to all of their pages, okay? So you want link backs. So the more pages that are linked to you, the more Google is going to recognize that and say, oh, okay, so these organizations are linked to her. Now, all those organizations aren't going to link back to me. I mean, some of them are like government agencies. They not that link who. They probably I might have a connect there, but they might not even know who, is the host of their website. But there are some of those organizations that, I can reach out to that person and say, hey, do you think you could link to me, because of the project that we worked on, or, some of the things that you're doing in the community or something like that. So link backs is a huge way. And then anybody in business should want their SEO to go higher. So if you're in the jewelry business, hook up with your jewelry making friends and say, hey, you guys, let's all link to one another. It should be something similar or something that makes sense. You don't want to just do something like totally offbeat, but that linking back and forth is another way. And then on top of that, and that's not really even a cheat, but the other cheat that I was going to say, so this is a definite cheat that I'm going to use. I'm going to use that other one too, but I feel more comfortable talking about this one. So I am going to reach out to people who have content, like I talked about the nonprofit Clever Communities in Action. Definitely check them out. And then that's not a local one. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work with some organizations that aren't local to Columbus, Ohio. And she does author interviews. So, and then she puts other stuff on her page. So specifically her and then other people, I'm going to say, can I share your content? That's a big get for that organization as well. So you share their content. It's like you have your own content, but it's their content. Share it on your page. And then you can have like the little live link that says read more that will take them back to that other person's content. So why would you share somebody else's content that says read more that's going to take them away from your page? Because you don't necessarily want to spend time blogging every day and writing every day. It's not, I mean, I like to write, but I don't necessarily, want to write content like that. How do you become a best-selling author? I'm just joking. I was more motivated to do it for my Patreon, so I am going to move I'm going to move all of my Patreon stuff eventually to my website. But yeah, so sharing stuff from other websites, finding out who's at the top and learning the reason why, link back and forth from one organization or like-minded business as another. So all those things are going to improve your SEO. And then the last one that I'm going to mention, and there are a lot of things, is getting more into the algorithm and the analytics. So there is an app called Google Search Console. Okay? Google Search Console. So Google that. It's completely free. They're going to tell you all your analytics about your website. Who's visiting, who's staying, who's clicking through, who's leaving. There's actually apps that you can find out. You can do research on other people's websites. It's public domain. So you can find out why people are staying on that website and why they're not staying on mine. So another thing to look up is just go to YouTube and say SEO Optimization. They have thousands of videos of information. A lot of the information, and I'm just being a little maybe too honest. A lot of times I'm watching information, like research information, and I'm like, oh, this will put me to sleep. Because it's like long information. But I'm still listening to it. I'm still, I'm subscribing to it. Eventually, like, oh, okay, let me actually be awake and aware and actually, write this down. And I'm so glad that Lisa asked me this question because she made me look into it more. And that was one of my number one things. I said, that's how I'm going to get rich, right? That's how I'm going to get rich quick is online. So it's that SEO. So if you're going to do it, you got to take the time. You got to you got to do the research. You got to get serious about learning those analytics and those algorithms and finding a way to get people to your page. And it's not, it's difficult in the sense that you got to put in the work, but it's all out there. Like, it's all available to you. There's a Google app that tells you how to be number one on Google. So Google Search Console. So check that out as well. So I think those are all of my questions. Thank you all, everyone who stuck this out. I know this was a long one, but I appreciate, again, everyone who asked questions, everyone's continued support and love. I love, when you're making comments or hitting a like, or, when I see people somewhere and you let me know that you definitely checking for me. I'm checking for you too, because I'm still all about Black business and Black love, and us supporting one another. So I am out of here. Bless up, Black up, peace.